Catherine Martinez came to visit me. She was very cunning. She was very smart.
What if Cleopatra was buried somewhere else entirely? We don't have the full story.
For over 2,000 years, one question has haunted historians, archaeologists. Where is Cleopatra? Cut to ancient ruins, sandstorms, and hieroglyphs. She was the last pharaoh of Egypt, a ruler whose beauty, intelligence, and power shaped the ancient world. Yet after her mysterious death, she vanished. Her body was never recovered. Her tomb lost. Her legacy buried beneath layers of myth and sand. But now, everything has changed. A groundbreaking discovery deep beneath an ancient temple in Egypt may finally reveal the truth. Archaeologists believe they have uncovered Cleopatra's long-lost burial site, and what they found inside has stunned the world. Faded murals, hidden chambers, sealed sarcophagi, and artifacts no one ever expected to exist. Some even say this discovery could rewrite history. Cleopatra ruled Egypt from 51 BCE to 30 BCE, during a time when the world around her was rapidly changing. She came from the Greek-Macedonian Ptolemaic dynasty, the line that ruled Egypt after Alexander the Great's conquests. But Cleopatra was different from her ancestors. She did not simply wear the crown of Egypt. She became Egyptian. She learned the local language, worshipped the gods of the Nile, and publicly called herself the living form of the goddess Isis. To her people, she was not just a ruler. She was divine. When Rome rose to power and Egypt's independence was threatened, Cleopatra used her intelligence and charm to form alliances that would shape history. She first joined forces with Julius Caesar and later with Mark Antony. Together, Cleopatra and Antony ruled as king and queen, uniting love and politics in a way that terrified their enemies in Rome. But their union could not withstand the might of Octavian, who would later become the Emperor Augustus. According to ancient sources such as Plutarch, when Antony's forces were defeated and he took his own life, Cleopatra was captured. Refusing to be paraded through Rome as a trophy, she chose her own death. The story says she held an asp, a small but deadly cobra, to her breast and let its venom end her life. Some scholars still debate how true this version is. Others suggest poison or another secret method. Yet, whatever the truth, Cleopatra's end was as dramatic as her reign. But even death could not erase her completely. Roman accounts claimed she was buried in a tomb fit for a queen, a grand resting place said to hold both her and Mark Antony together for eternity. Still, no one ever recorded where it was. That silence in history became an obsession for archaeologists and explorers. The tomb of Cleopatra became one of the greatest mysteries ever known. Over the centuries, explorers searched across Egypt, from Alexandria's ancient ruins to the temples near the Nile Delta. Every discovery turned out to be a disappointment, every clue a dead end. Ancient writings offered only fragments of truth. Egyptian priests described her as a bride returning to Osiris, suggesting that her burial was part of a sacred ritual, a union between the living goddess and the god of the afterlife. Some believed she was buried in secret to protect her from enemies. Others thought her tomb was lost forever beneath the shifting sands of Egypt. For generations, the mystery slept beneath the desert, waiting for someone to look in the right place. Then, in modern times, technology began to give new hope. Scans of the ground near Alexandria showed strange patterns beneath the earth, shapes that seemed too precise to be natural. Could these be the traces of something ancient, something royal? Archaeologists began to suspect that the answer to Cleopatra's tomb might not lie in the heart of Alexandria, as once believed, but somewhere unexpected, somewhere hidden, where the desert still keeps its secrets. What those new scans revealed beneath the Egyptian sands would change everything we thought we knew about Cleopatra. The desert that shifted. West of Alexandria, close to the shimmering borders of Lake Mariotte, stretches a landscape where both myth and history seem to breathe side by side. This is Taposiris Magna, an ancient temple complex created to honor Osiris, the Egyptian god of rebirth. For generations, desert winds swept over its ruins, covering statues and columns beneath drifting dunes. Many assumed the place had given up all its secrets. But in 2005, a Dominican archaeologist named Dr. Kathleen Martinez arrived with a bold idea, one that would spark one of the most intriguing excavations in modern archaeology. Martinez had been captivated by Cleopatra since childhood. As she grew older, she left her career in law to pursue archaeology, guided by one belief: Cleopatra's tomb was not gone forever. While most researchers searched within Alexandria's buried remains, Martinez believed the queen's final resting place had to be symbolic. Cleopatra had always seen herself as Isis, the goddess who restored life to Osiris. If she truly embraced the identity of the living Isis, wouldn't she want to be buried beside Osiris himself? The temple of Taposiris Magna, dedicated entirely to that god, seemed like the most meaningful location. Her idea was daring, even debated, but soon it began attracting attention. Ancient accounts suggested Cleopatra spent her last days near this region. The temple's carved inscriptions, its closeness to the sea, and the discovery of Greco-Egyptian objects all strengthened her theory. Excavations uncovered traces of the Isis-Osiris cult, including amulets, coins bearing Cleopatra's face, and carvings linking royalty to divine rebirth. Gradually, speculation began turning into serious possibility. Yet the land surrounding Taposiris Magna held more secrets than anyone expected. Geological studies showed that the coastline had changed dramatically over thousands of years. Areas that were once fertile had partly sunk, and parts of the temple might now rest beneath Lake Mariotte's waters. The desert had also reshaped itself over time, swallowing ancient roads and burying structures under thick layers of sand. Recently, a new team returned with advanced technology. Engineers, archaeologists, and geologists gathered to scan beneath the desert floor, hoping to map whatever lay hidden. As they set up their equipment, strange data began to appear. Sensors picked up soft, rhythmic vibrations under the ground, repeating every 42 seconds, the exact number that, in Egyptian belief, symbolized the judges of the afterlife. At first, the team assumed it was a glitch, maybe echoes from machinery far away, or tremors caused by underground water. But the pattern was steady and accurate, unlike anything naturally occurring. Then, something unsettling happened. The sand moved. At first it was faint, small ripples sliding across the dunes. But the surface soon began shifting in a steady rhythm, pulsing in perfect sync with the underground vibrations. Cameras set around the dig recorded the sand shaking as if it were alive. Nearby villagers warned the researchers not to disturb what sleeps below. They repeated old stories claiming the ground was cursed, that waking it would stir ancient spirits. The scientists brushed it off as folklore. But as the tremors intensified, unease spread. Some workers avoided sleeping near the site. Equipment began failing without explanation, and power lines flickered in the dark. The expedition leaders, desperate for clarity, contacted Dr. Kathleen Martinez. When she arrived and examined the readings, she fell quiet, her eyes following the shapes of buried corridors on the thermal images. At last, she whispered, "If this is what I believe it is, we're standing above something she wanted discovered." The next morning, under Martinez's guidance, The excavation began. Within days, the ground opened. The sands that had long hidden the past drew back to reveal smooth, ancient stone. The markings on it were not random scratches. They were intentional carvings made by human hands thousands of years before. The team realized they had found the entrance to something immense, something untouched by time. None of them knew how deep they would need to dig, or what waited for them in the darkness far below. The temple that spoke in two languages. The excavation site at Taposiris Magna felt like a doorway into another world. As the team brushed away layers of ancient sand, they uncovered a temple unlike anything they had ever witnessed. Its stones were worn by time, yet the spirit of the place still echoed through the carvings and symbols etched across its walls. This was not an ordinary ruin. It was a sanctuary built for gods, kings, and possibly Egypt's most influential queen. The deeper they dug, the more obvious it became that the design was ancient, yet purposefully arranged. Like many Egyptian temples, the entrance aligned perfectly with the rising sun, a powerful symbol of rebirth. Inside, the walls displayed inscriptions honoring Osiris, the god of resurrection, and Isis, his eternal companion. The connection became instantly clear. Cleopatra had called herself the living Isis and shaped her reign around the goddess's image of eternal life, love, and creation. If she had chosen a final resting place, lying close to Osiris, the conqueror of death, would be the most meaningful choice. But the true shock came when the team studied the inscriptions in greater detail. Right beside the Egyptian hieroglyphs were rows of ancient Greek script, carved with equal precision and artistry. This was extraordinary. Temples from that era rarely blended the two languages, especially in sacred spaces. It was as though the builders intended to speak to two worlds at once: the Egyptian priests who worshipped the old gods, and the Greek rulers who governed Egypt after Alexander the Great's arrival. Dr. Kathleen Martinez instantly recognized what it meant. Cleopatra had ruled between these civilizations. She was Greek by ancestry, but Egyptian by devotion, the living bridge between two cultures that often clashed. These dual inscriptions were not accidental. They were intentional. The entire temple reflected Cleopatra's identity, half Greek monarch, half Egyptian goddess. As the team continued inside, their lights revealed carvings of Isis holding Osiris beneath a dome of stars, a symbol of eternal unity. Small altars rested on the floor, still carrying faint remnants of blue lotus resin and bitumen, materials once used during royal embalming. Even after 2,000 years, the air held a ghost of ancient oils. Every fragment seemed to whisper that royalty had walked this place. Then came the most breathtaking discovery of all. Hidden in a narrow chamber behind the main hall, archaeologists found a sacred trench packed with offerings and coins. Over 300 coins bearing Cleopatra's likeness had been buried together. Some showed her wearing the crown of a pharaoh. Others displayed her standing beside Mark Antony. Their preservation was astonishing. Symbols of her rule, the serpent, the eagle, and the star of Isis, still shimmered faintly through the dust. It felt as though Cleopatra herself had left behind a silent path, a confirmation that this temple belonged to her final chapter. The team began to wonder if the queen's tomb might truly be close by. But in the middle of their excitement, strange readings returned. Instruments monitoring ground vibrations picked up the same rhythmic signal, the 42-second pulse that had haunted the site since the beginning. The hum grew stronger within the temple's inner rooms. It echoed through the floor, faint but steady, like a heartbeat hidden inside the stone. Engineers quickly set up radar scans across the foundation. The images that formed on the screens left everyone stunned. Beneath the temple lay a structure stretching far beyond the visible walls, a network of passages carved deep into limestone. The tunnels were deliberate, symmetrical, and far too precise to be natural. Dr. Martinez stared at the scans, saying nothing at first. Then she finally whispered, "This is more than a temple. It's a gateway." The workers exchanged tense glances. They had uncovered temples before, but this felt entirely different. The hum beneath their feet, the flawless alignment of the tunnels, and the immense depth of the formation all suggested something far greater waiting below. They readied themselves to dig once more, unaware that what lay under the temple floor would shake everything they believed about Egypt's ancient world. Beneath the temple's floor, the instruments had detected strange signals, signs of a tunnel system. But where did it lead? The impossible tunnel. By late 2022, anticipation around the Taposiris Magna site was reaching its peak. After years of digging through stone and sand, Dr. Kathleen Martinez and her team revealed a discovery that stunned the entire archaeological world. Beneath the temple, deep inside the bedrock, they had uncovered a tunnel stretching more than 1,300 meters, nearly 4,281 feet, with a height close to 2 meters. Carved into solid rock, it was so perfectly level and straight that even modern engineers struggled to accept that such a structure could have been created over 2,000 years ago. Early radar images showed thin, pale lines weaving beneath the temple and stretching toward the coast. When the team finally broke through a narrow shaft to lower a camera inside, the screen flickered with the image of smooth walls shining with moisture. The tunnel was silent, empty, and completely dark, yet unmistakably carved by human hands. The footage froze the room in stunned disbelief. Every curve and angle of the passage revealed deliberate craftsmanship. Whoever built it possessed knowledge far beyond that of ordinary temple workers. Experts immediately began debating its purpose. Was it part of a concealed burial system? A ritual walkway designed to carry offerings from the temple to the sea? Or was it possibly a secret route meant for transporting royal remains? Some believed it connected directly to the ancient port that once existed nearby, now lost beneath the waters of Lake Mariot. Geological studies showed much of the region had sunk due to floods and earthquakes over centuries. What had been dry land during Cleopatra's lifetime was now submerged. This led to a striking theory. If Cleopatra truly wished to keep her tomb hidden from Roman conquerors, she might have chosen a burial location reachable only through a concealed passage, a sacred route linking Osiris's temple to the sea, symbolizing her eternal journey to join the gods. The tunnel, then, could have been part of her final design, a protective pathway guarding her resting place forever. As the team ventured deeper, they discovered signs that ancient people had once moved through the tunnel. The air was thick with the scent of limestone and salt. In the lower sections, streaks of black resin coated the walls, possibly the remains of torches or oil lamps from long-lost rituals. Even more astonishing were fragments of pottery, bits of stone seals, and delicate pieces of faience jewelry scattered near alcoves along the corridor. Each relic hinted at ceremonies forgotten by time. In one part of the tunnel, they uncovered a small chamber filled with sand and rubble. Beneath it lay 2 mummies with golden tongues, a rare practice from the Greco-Roman era. Priests placed golden tongues in the mouths of the dead so they could speak with the gods in the afterlife. The discovery proved that the tunnel and its adjoining rooms had been used for elite burials, possibly even for members of royalty. As they continued, the architecture of the passage grew more intricate. In certain areas, The tunnel sloped gently downward, its walls decorated with symbols shaped like ankhs, serpents, and lotus blossoms, signs of life, rebirth, and divine protection. Water seeped through cracks overhead, shimmering like liquid glass under the lights. Yet the passage remained astonishingly stable, its construction more advanced than many modern tunnels of similar scale. After weeks of slow and careful excavation, the team reached the tunnel's end. There, sealed behind a thick barrier of fused stone and mud brick, they found something entirely unexpected. A massive circular chamber, with scanning equipment indicating that the interior was hollow. Instruments detected a faint rise in temperature around it, suggesting either trapped air or ancient chemical activity within. As Dr. Martinez studied the data, her voice quivered with wonder. "This," she said softly, "might be the final wall standing between us and the truth." No one dared to respond. The workers remained silent, staring at the sealed chamber that had guarded its secret for over 20 centuries. The atmosphere grew heavy, as if the desert itself was waiting. When the team finally opened that sealed chamber, what they discovered transformed the mystery from a simple question of where Cleopatra was buried to the far deeper question of why her tomb had been hidden at all. The black sarcophagus. When the final stones were pried loose, a burst of ancient air escaped, carrying a thick, metallic scent of age. As the dust drifted aside, the beams of their flashlights revealed something that made every person in the chamber fall silent. At the center stood an enormous black granite sarcophagus, carved from a single block of stone and polished so smoothly that it shone like a dark mirror even after centuries underground. It glimmered softly beneath the lights, giving off a slick, oily reflection that made the surface appear strangely alive. The lid was sealed shut with hardened layers of resin and lead, both materials once used in royal burials to guard the dead from decay and from the reach of intruders. Carved into the sides were symbols in both Egyptian and Greek, a dual language signature reflecting the blended identity of Egypt's final queen. All around it, the chamber walls were covered in fading scenes of Isis and Osiris, surrounded by symbols of rebirth, the rising sun, the ankh, and the lotus flower. Dr. Kathleen Martinez and her team stepped forward in complete awe. They had never encountered anything like it. Its proportions matched descriptions of royal burials from the late Ptolemaic era, and the fusion of Hellenistic and Egyptian craftsmanship suggested it belonged to someone of extraordinary importance. Could this be the discovery they had spent years chasing, Cleopatra's long-lost tomb? Slowly, the team began raising the lid with cranes and pulleys. The grinding sound of metal scraping ancient stone echoed through the chamber, a thunderous vibration that made the ground itself quiver. When the seal finally cracked open, a warm gust of air surged out, filled with the scent of ancient oils and something sharp enough to sting their eyes. Inside the sarcophagus lay two figures wrapped in linen threaded with gold, their faces hidden behind masks that had fused into the fabric from centuries of heat and pressure. Resting between them was a bronze cylinder etched with spiraling patterns and faint traces of hieroglyphs. Even through the wrappings, it was clear that one body was male and the other female, positioned purposely side by side, their arms nearly touching. The woman's jewelry caught the light first. Around her neck hung an Isis pendant. The goddess's wings spread protectively across her chest. On her wrist coiled a cobra-shaped bracelet, darkened with age, its head lifted as if preparing to strike. Dr. Martinez leaned in closer, her breath unsteady. The cobra had always been Cleopatra's emblem, the very creature that, according to legend, had delivered her death. Then came the finding that stunned the entire chamber. The man's chest cavity had been opened and filled with a hardened mixture of resin and mercury, a rare and dangerous substance used in ancient rituals for purification. His ribs had been forced outward, showing signs of intentional alteration rather than natural decay. The embalming method was unlike anything they had ever documented, perhaps symbolic, as though those who buried him wanted to ensure he would never rise again. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, and join us for more mysteries uncovered.